class, we have been covering several subtitles into this PowerPoint presentation. Of course, we talked about, since the beginning of the course, we have been talking about culture and the components of culture, right? And the different definitions of culture. And the last thing that we have been talking about last class was the social control, how societies like to enforce their norms on individuals, so individuals will abide by the social norms, right? This was the last point that we have been discussing last class, right? Are you with me? And we said that in addition to socialization, which is the process of learning the culture of the society or a subculture of a social group and the behavior, societies don't like individuals to deviate from the social norms. They like individuals to conform. That's why societies are using what is called sanctions. And sanctions are punishments and rewards. Both of them can be formal or informal in order to minimize deviance and to maximize what? This can be fill in the blanks.
Conformity.
Exactly, very good, excellent. And to maximize conformity. Societies, every family likes the children to be similar to the family and abide by the family norms. Each company, like the individuals and the employees in the company, to abide by the organizational culture inside this company, okay, and the expectations of the company. Okay, each social group, whether this social group is an informal social group or a formal social group, they like individuals to abide by the culture or the subculture and the behavior that is expected in this place. Okay, that's why they use those sanctions, and those sanctions can be in the form of encouragements, which is rewards. Like I say, I praise you, I say that you are excellent student, that you are very good, that I like your ideas. This is like a kind of reward, but it is an informal reward. Or I give you a bonus, and the bonus will be translated into your grade, and this is a formal reward, right? Okay, and but sanctions also might be punishments, whether those punishments are formal or informal. Very good. Okay, before we go to the next slide, do you have any question about that?
No, Professor.
Okay, was everybody last class attending this part? Okay, now we are 29 students. That means that we have 6 students absent. The problem that that if I'm sick today, if I'm not tremendously sick, I can still attend the class. Why? Because we are working from home, right? So the excuses nowadays to not attend the class are much, much less than the excuses at the time of the physical face-to-face university. Okay, so please, even if you don't feel well, try your best to attend the class even from the bed. Okay, so try to not miss any class at all. Okay, because I will say information now. Those 6 persons who are absent will not listen and will not participate to this information. Then they might feel lost the next time, right? So now let's go to the next slide. We talked about norms, and we said that norms, who can define norms? Norms. Norms.
The rules in a society to have an order.
Okay. Okay. Those rules, written rules, necessarily written rules, or they can be unwritten?
They can be unwritten because they are the things that people have and follow.
Okay, so they are the social expectations, that the kind of behavior that the society expects from you, and if you are not following that, will the society will not be happy about that, right?
There are formal and informal norms as well.
Okay, great, great. And we said that there are two kinds of norms. We said that we have mores and
Folkways.
folkways. Excellent. So can you explain each of them very quickly, please?
Mores are the okay, Helen.
Yes, you will do well, I'm sure.
Like mores are the kind of norms like that are considered to be high standard behaviors of people. Like
Okay,
for example, if we go to someone another's room, we knock the door, or
excellent, excellent, very good.
any business meeting, like we do not prefer the side talks.
Okay, very
And folkways are those that we do usually with the people whom to we are known, like with our cousins, friends, which are
excellent,
not
excellent.
formal.
Very, very, very good. I like your explanations very much. Okay, so norms with all of its components and variations is part of the components of culture. Another very important component of culture is values. Okay, values like what? Like when we say that you that honesty is a value, courage is a value, sincerity is a value, right? Give me examples of other values.
Motivation.
Okay. Hmm. Else, highly regarded generosity. If you are a generous person, this is a value, right? If you are respecting your word to anybody, this is a value, right? Being a man of your word or a girl of your word or a woman of your word, that if you say a word to somebody, if you give a promise, you must fulfill this promise despite any difficulty, right?
Loyalty is also value.
Oh, right, exactly. So values are collective conceptions of what is considered good, desirable, and proper. Values are the broad lines of behavior. Like, for example, when we were talking about norms, we were saying that maybe one example of the norms, that norms are more detailed, but values are more broad lines. So when we say that being brave is a value, okay, being honest is a value, but how can we see this honesty? Many norms can translate this honesty. For example, that that you don't when you are an employee in a workplace, you don't waste the time because you get paid for this time, so you don't want to waste the time of that you get paid for. So this is an example of honesty, and it can turn into a norm in a society as a as a practical translation to the value of honesty, right? You refuse that we are living, for example, you are living in a society that refuses plagiarism even if it is easy to do. Students refuse to cheat in exams even if they are able to do that. Why? Because they are honest. Okay, you get my point? So values influence people's behavior and serve as criteria for evaluating the actions of others, only of the others, or the actions of ourselves as well. The actions of ourselves as well. So you are using the values, okay, in order to evaluate any behavior, in order to evaluate any action, whether this action is done by somebody else or this action is done by you. Okay, so let's say that you are in an exam today, or you are in work today, or you are doing something related to the rights of other people, and you always ask yourself whether what I am doing right now is ethical or not ethical. Based on what? You will say whether it is ethical or not ethical based on values. Okay, you get my point? Another life example, that you are working in a place and you see the manager is treating everybody else in a very unfair way and committing lots of acts of discrimination, ethnic discrimination or racial discrimination or whatever kind of discrimination. And you know that if you say that what you are doing is wrong, you might lose your job. But however, you are still standing up against whatever is wrong, and you say that the bad thing is bad, even if you will lose. That means that you are having which value? You tell me. If you are if brave, okay, you have courage. Okay, right, very good. Not everybody can do that. So that means that you were raised up, that you were socialized according to this very important value, and not everybody can have this value. Okay? And even the ones who have this value are not having it with the same strength. Right? Right? So some people can be 100% brave. Some of them are 70% brave, are 50% brave, are 10% brave. Some people are not brave at all. Okay, so but you know about this value, and when you see particular behavior, you can say this is an honest behavior. This is a brave behavior. This person is generous because he is doing that, like that. Okay, you get it?
Yes.
Okay, I will I will hear from you about just one example. Who would like to give me any life example different from the ones that I have given about values? Any example from everyday life? Who would like to say one?
A value.
Okay, raise up your hands, please. So I raise up your hands, please, because okay, Gidwin and Alan, because Alan Alan is participation is super excellent. Gideon as well, participation is excellent, but it's a bit less than Alan. So I'm sorry, Alan. I will give Gideon a chance. Gideon, yes.
A value can be kindness. It's like if you donate or volunteer your time to help.
Yes. Did you say
Homeless, so
kindness?
if you
Did you say kindness?
value
Being kind
kindness,
to others?
situation of others, yes.
Yes, of course. Okay.
Yes.
Give me a life example that you have witnessed.
People giving money to the homeless, people volunteering at homeless shelters, people donating food.
Okay, okay. So this is a sign of kindness. Very good. Alan?
Hello, Professor.
Yes. Oh.
Being coherent with what you
Okay.
say and what you do and how you act in life.
Okay.
There's another word for it. I'm struggling in my mind to get
No,
it.
you don't have to say the other word, but just give us a practical example.
A practical example is you talked about honesty when you say what you will do, but there's one step further to that. It's not only that you will do what you say, but it's also the consistency and continuity of your actions that create different morals or create different. I'm forgetting the word. I can't believe it.
No problem. Even if you forget it,
I'll
you can
get, okay,
always.
or I will explain, so I'll get to it.
Yeah.
Is when there is a repetitive action
Yeah.
that creates a value to what you're doing,
Yeah.
and you become used to that action individually.
Okay. Okay.
It's
So.
a, I forgot the word. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem at all. No problem at all. But I think you are talking about the persistence on the good thing that you are doing towards others. Okay?
Yes, or it can be habits. Habits. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to say. Habits.
Okay. Okay.
Habits have different values.
Like, for example, the habit of punctuality,
Exactly.
being punctual, that you are always on time, that you are, that you are respecting people's time as well, right? Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The dominant ideology. The dominant ideology. What is a dominant ideology? What is an ideology first? What is an ideology? An ideology is a set of ideas that draws a way of thinking. It can be a political way of thinking, it can be a religious way of thinking, it can be an economic way of thinking. Like, for example, if you know about capitalism and socialism, they are two opposite economic ideologies and two opposite economic systems. If you believe in one of them and I believe in the other, so we have different economic ideologies. Okay, like conservative, like in Canada you have the conservative political party and you have the liberals. They have two different political ideologies. Okay, so each ideology of them is a set of ideas about how we should live, how we should practice our rights in life, how we should interact in political life, in economic life, in whatever. Okay, so if you have one of them is more socially dominant than the other ideologies, so we call it dominant ideology. It means that the people who are following this ideology will have a higher power in the society. They have higher social status. They have higher economic status. They have higher interests because they are following the ideology that is mostly dominating the society. But if you are adopting an ideology that is not very favored by many people, or okay, you might lose some life chances. Okay, you might not get the same chances as everybody else. You understand what is a dominant ideology? So what is the meaning of the word dominant? Dominant means controlling, hegemonic. Okay, that the ideology that controls the minds of most of people in the society. Okay, so you, in every culture, you might find that there is a particular ideology that that partially it can fully dominate, it can partially dominate the the way of thinking of people in the society. In the US, for example, capitalism is a dominant economic ideology. Okay, of course, you know, if you don't know, I will quickly explain, no problem, because I know that we have some young students here who might not know yet the difference. And although this is not very anthropology, it is partially economics, but anthropology is about life, so we need to know it as well. The difference between capitalism and socialism. Capitalism is the economic system that is based on the private ownership of the means of production with the aim of making profits. And the best example of that is the US economic system. Okay? While socialism is an opposite economic system. Socialism says that that all people should share the wealth of the society, okay, and the means of production, especially the strategic means of production, should be owned by the society rather than the private sector, okay, and socialists care about the rights of the working class more than the privileges of the upper class. Okay, so this is in brief. Of course, I'm not giving you a very sophisticated meaning of each of them, but that's just to make it clear for you. In many European countries, we might find that both ideologies are, we find both ideologies among politicians and among different political parties who compete with each other in elections. But in the US, for example, capitalism is the dominant ideology. Both major political parties, none of them is promoting socialism at all. Both of them are promoting capitalism, but different forms of capitalism. Okay? Like the Republicans and the Democrats, and of course we know that that today is the presidential elections in the US, and we will see who will win. Okay, is that related to anthropology? Of course, that is related. Okay, because the political decisions will affect the way of life of people, will affect the culture, and everything in the society is related to anthropology. Okay, you get it? So you understand now what is the meaning of the dominant ideology. Dominant means controlling, the hegemonic, the more powerful ideology, and the ideology is a set of ideas that is saying or claiming that the best way of practicing politics or economics or whatever is this way. This is called ideology. Okay? You understand me?
Yes, Professor.
Okay.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, Professor.
Now this slide says functionalists. Who are the functionalists? I will now explain something. I want you to pay attention very, very much with me when I explain this. Okay? In social science in general, okay? In sociology, in anthropology, in social science in general, we have two major theoretical schools in social science. Actually, there are three. Only three? They are many. But the very main ones, the very major ones are three. Okay? But there are many more. And we are going to talk about several other ones in detail. But the three very major ones are called functionalism. Functionalism. You see this word? Functionalists. And
Yes.
so it's called functionalism. So the functionalists are the thinkers who are following functionalism. Okay? And the conflict theory, okay, and interactionism. Interactionism. How do you write it? Action. What's the meaning of action? That a particular doing, okay? Interactionism. And I will explain each one of them very quickly. Did you write down the names of the three theories?
Yes,
Can you
Professor.
repeat it again, please?
Okay.
Can you repeat
I will say again. Functionalism. Functionalism comes from. It's very easy to figure out the spelling if you don't know the spelling. You just write function. What is function? how something is useful. And for example, when I say, what is the function of using the smartphone? You tell me that I can use it in games, I can use it in communication, I can use it in writing, recording notes, whatever, attending classes. All of those are functions of the smart, right? So it's called functionalism. So function, then functionalism. Okay? Ism, usually we use ism when we are talking about a particular theory, a particular ideology. Okay? Functionalism. The second one is called conflict. You know, conflict when people are clashing with each other.
Problems.
Yes, conflict theory. Here, you see it is in the fourth line. Conflict theorists. Okay? And the third one is interactionism. 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 Inter, right? Inter, I-N-T-E-R, action, then ism. Okay? The first two, the functionalists and the conflict theory, although they say things different from each other, they both belong to a major school called structuralism. Do you know structure? Structure. Structure. S-T-R-U-C-T-U-R. Structure. Structuralism. What is structuralism? Okay. Did you know how to write it? Structure comes, you know the structure of a building, how the building looks like. If you have a building that is cube shape or cylindrical shape or pyramid shape, so this is called structure. Okay, you get it? So both the functionalism and the conflict theory belong to a bigger umbrella school called structuralism. Okay, let me briefly simplify to you each one of them. I know that it is just introduction, an introductory course, so I'm not going to dive very deeply into each of those, but I want you to understand the basic idea about each one of them. Okay? Number one, what is structuralism? Structuralism is the school of thought in social science which believes that the society is leading the minds of the individuals, that the whole society is like one building, like one structure, like one body, and this society is leading the minds of the individuals. It's not up to the individuals to think freely and decide what to do or what not to do. Structuralism simply says that if you are thinking in a particular way, you are not thinking in this way because it is your choice to think in this way. But the structuralism says that you are thinking in this way because your mind was programmed by the agencies of socialization in order to make you think in this way. Who understood me? And please, the ones who understood me, raise up your hands. Okay, who else? Okay. Okay, I will repeat again, then I will ask the ones who understood to explain it in their own way. Okay. Structuralism, which is the umbrella theory from which functionalism, okay, and the conflict theory have developed. Structuralism and sometimes even functionalism is called structural functionalism. Okay, sometimes we call functionalism structural functionalism because it is following structuralism very much. So structuralism says that the society is like one building and the individuals in the society are just part of this building. Okay, and the society has a culture, and this culture is being implanted into the individual's minds. Okay, and it is not the choice of the individuals to decide something or not to decide it. Individuals' minds are programmed by the society in order to think in a particular way, in order to love particular things and hate other things, in order to follow other values and not to follow other values, okay? In order to abide by particular norms and not other ones, okay? So structuralism says that the individuals actually are not having this free mind that they think that they have. Okay? And they are part of the bigger structure, which is the society and how all parts of this society is connected with each other. Okay? Functionalism. One branch of structuralism agrees with that, okay, and says that every social institution, every social organization, okay, every part of the society, every part in the culture of the society has a function. Has a function. And what is this function? The function is to maintain the stability of the society, okay, and make all people think approximately in the same way and share the same values and share the same norms so they will live in harmony with each other. The school will have a role in that. The family will have a role in that. The workplace will have a role in that. The media will have a role in that. And each agency of socialization and each part in the culture of any society plays a unique function, a unique role in order to make the society coherent and connected and stable. Okay? You get it? You understand?
Like government, in government institutions.
The government has a function. The hospitals have a function. The school has a function. Everything in the society has a function, and this function is to do what? Is to maintain the stability in the society, to maintain the coherency and the harmony in the society. Okay? Therefore, they said that the society looks like the human body. And they called that organic solidarity. What is organic? Organic means the organs of the human body and how each organ of those organs is playing an important, unique role. Okay? But all of the organs cooperate with each other in order to maintain the well-being of the body. Okay, so you have the heart plays a function, you have the lungs play a function, you have the kidneys play a function, you have the brain plays a function. Each function is unique. Okay, but all of them cooperate in order to maintain the well-being of the body. You get it? Okay. So they say that the society is exactly like that. They say that the society has different institutions, it has different organizations, it has different values, it has different norms. Each one of those plays a role in maintaining the well-being of the society, the stability of the society, and the welfare of the society, the harmony between people in the society, okay? The coherence in the society, okay? That's why the functionalists, they say that stability is very important, and the values and the norms play important roles in making all people follow the same guidelines, so they will live with each other happily. Okay, you get it? Now we have another branch from structuralism that strongly disagrees with functionalism. Another branch from structuralism, yes, they agree that the society controls the minds of the individuals, but not for the well-being of the society, not for the welfare of the society, not to make everybody happy. But the conflict theory says that the society is dominated by a small group which is very rich and very powerful, okay? And they use the agencies of socialization to convince the rest of the societies with the ideas that will be in favor of the interests of this small group that controls the society. Okay? And that's why it is called conflict, because it says that the society is not just one body, just one united body of people who all have the same interests. But it says that there is a minority which is very powerful, and it is economically powerful, it is politically powerful, okay, and it is socially powerful as well, and it tries to exploit everybody else in order to maintain its own interests and in order to maximize its own interests. You get it? Okay? And that's why they say that they use the different agencies of socialization in order to convince the individuals to not resist the system and to just accept the status quo and do just what everybody is doing and follow the system that they design. Okay, you get it? So this is the conflict theory. So the conflict theory says that those norms and values which are dominant in the society, sometimes they are not dominant because they are the best of the society, but sometimes they were made dominant because they are the best for the interests of the richest and the strongest people in the society. Okay? You get it? So what is in common between those two schools, the functionalism and the conflict theory? They say opposite things, but they have one thing in common, that both of them agree that the individuals are followers. Okay? Both of them agree that the individuals are followers of the society, are followers of the agencies of socialization. Okay, both of them agree that both of them get influenced and affected by the ideas and the values and the norms and the culture that is being programmed inside their minds. Okay, but one of them, which is the functionists, think that that is happening for the welfare of the society in general and for the stability of the society in general, and the other one thinks that that is only happening for the welfare and the stability and the interests of a small group which wants to exploit everybody else. Okay? Okay? The third group, interactionism. Interactionism says, hey, you functionalists and you conflict theorists, both of you talk about the individuals as if the individuals don't have minds, as if the individuals are just followers, which is not always the case. They say, interactions say that the individuals are rational human beings who can listen to all ideas and who can think rationally and who can take decisions and who can understand the different symbols. We talked about symbols before, and who can understand different symbols in different ways and in the and take different decisions and do different actions and then interact with each other and influence each other. Okay, and that's why they think that the culture is ever changing culture, because individuals are interacting with each other all of the time. Okay, and the values are changing because of this interaction, the norms are changing because of this interaction, and individuals are the major component of the society, and they are the ones who make the society rather than being made. Okay, you get it? So now you have three main perspectives of science. Three main perspectives. Only those perspectives? No, those are not the only perspectives. But I'm saying those are three very main perspectives in social science. One of them thinks that, which is called structural functionalism. It thinks that because the society is one structure and every agency is just doing its role and its function in order to make all people live in harmony and in order to maintain stability in the society. And the other one, which is the conflict theory, which says that people in the society are not having the same interests, but they are mainly two classes. One of them wants to control everything for its own favor and exploits everybody else. Okay? And the third group, which is interactionism, says that the people are the interactors, that the people are the actors. Act by the word actors here, I don't mean actors in a movie. I mean actors in real life. That they are the ones who make actions and who decide those actions. Okay? You get it? Any comment on that?
Yes, Professor.
Any comment on that?
It would be
Any
like,
comment?
yes, it would be like talking about, for example, about democracy.
Yeah.
And within democracy, there you could find possibly the three different structures. For example, the functionalism would be all of the different institutions of democracy.
Okay.
Instituted by probably the government.
Okay.
Then the conflict theory would be capitalism inside democracy.
Actually, the conflict theory criticizes capitalism very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The conflict theory, there is a very nice cartoon movie. Okay. It is not for children, not because it is cartoon, it is for children. It's not for children at all. And it is based on a novel written by a very famous and influential British author called George Orwell. Okay, and the novel is called Animal Farm. Animal Farm. It is a little less than 2 hours, but you will enjoy it very much if you watch it. Okay, Animal Farm. Okay, and
excellent.
And this novel was translated into this cartoon movie, okay? And it explains very well how the conflict theory is against capitalism. The conflict theory thinks that capitalism was the reason why the capitalists who own the means of production they became the controllers of the society, who dominate the society for their own end, for the sake of their own interests at the expense of everybody else. Okay? You get it? So yes, what Alan is saying, that the capitalism is related to the conflict theory, not because capitalism promotes the conflict theory, and not because the conflict theory promotes capitalism, but because of the animosity between them, because of the clash between them. The conflict theory tells people, hey, those capitalists are exploiting you, and you should not be obedient to them. You should revolt against them. Okay? You get it?
Yes, but it is that precise conflict theory that makes capitalism even stronger. Because then, by interactionism, working within functionalism, if you want to look into it, the institutions of functionalism work organically to keep on promoting what the conflict theory resists. So it pertains the attention of the interactionism, the individuals, to pay more attention to what functionalism is promoting at the end of the day. So it's like, I can say in my own experience, I became a socialist when I was from my 18 years old up to 27 years old, until I needed to maintain my family. Then I was 100% capitalist.
Yeah. Because your interests have changed.
Exactly. So it's all based in
your interests
interactionism.
have influenced your way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. What you are saying is really very, very interesting. But we have to keep in mind that each of those theories claims to be neutral. It claims. I'm not saying that it is neutral. Okay? I'm not saying that it is objective, but each of them claims to be a social, science, scientific, neutral, unbiased theory that is just describing the society rather than being part of the conflicts. Okay? So
Okay.
the functionalism, they say we are just explaining what is happening in the society. Okay? We are not taking any sides. We are just explaining.
But there's still an ideology.
It is an ideology. We say that they say that we are just a scientific theory. And we are attempting to explain what is taking place in the society and the relationship between people in the society. And the conflict theory also says that we are just explaining that all human history was a conflict between the ones who own and the ones who don't own the means of production. Okay? In particular, after the Industrial Revolution and after the creation of capitalism. Okay? And they say that we are not, again, taking any side, but we are just explaining to everybody the social relationships and what is actually happening in the society. And the interactions, they also say the same. They say that we are not interacting, not because they are called interactionists, they are interacting. It says that we are not interacting, but we are saying that the social relationships are based on interaction between social actors. And those social actors are the individuals. Okay, why I'm saying all of that? Okay, today in this class, to know that each of those theorists, they talk about norms and they talk about values in a different way. Okay, one of them says that values are made by the society in order and the society socialize the individuals and socially control the individuals in order to follow those values and norms, so the society will be stable society. And the conflict theory says no, that they argue, read here in this slide, read the 5th line. Okay? Conflict theorists agree that a common culture may exist, but they argue that it serves to maintain the privileges of some groups rather than others. Okay? From a conflict perspective, the dominant ideology has a major social significance. So the conflict perspective says that yes, there are norms, and yes, there are values, and there are dominant norms, dominant values, dominant ideology, but those were made dominant by the agencies of socialization, which are themselves controlled by the rich people, by the powerful people, not to make everybody happy, not to make everybody satisfied, but to make everybody submissive and to make everybody accept the status quo, to make everybody accept what is happening for whom, not for the welfare of everybody, but for the well-being and for the stability, not of all of the society, but for the stability of the upper class, which is dominating the society. Okay? And they say, the conflict theory says, that at the beginning, the upper class succeeds in deceiving the minds of most people in the society and make them think that those values and those norms and this system is good for everybody, but eventually they realize that they are being treated unfairly and they are being exploited, and at one point of time they will get united and they will revolt against the upper class. Okay? The interactionist says, look, those norms and values are not made, didn't come from above, didn't come from the top of the society, but they are made, they were produced by the individuals themselves. When the individuals interacted with each other in everyday life, they produce particular values, they produce particular norms. The social interaction between the individuals made them think that that punctuality is something very good because it will promote the interests of everybody in the society. That being honest is something very good because it will everybody in the society. Okay, so it will benefit us all. So the interactionism says that whatever ideology, whatever norm, whatever value, everything is being made by the interaction between individuals and each other. Okay, you got it. I know that this was a bit heavy, that this slide in particular and this discussion about the three theories was a bit heavy, okay? But I think that I have clarified it as much as possible, and I think it is clear now, but it's not me who will say whether it's clear or not. I want Jonathan to say. Jonathan, how are you doing?
Hi, Professor. I'm good.
Hi.
Hi.
You understand what I was talking about?
Yes, the most clearly thing that I figured out as the functionalist is everything in society has a direction, and it makes the society connect.
Okay.
And whereas the structuralism is the individuals with no free mind. That means that they are always like kind of manipulated or with the social agents.
Okay.
What else? The conflict theory is the manipulation of the society for the interest of just a particular part of the society. They are the ones who are on the top.
Okay.
And the interactionalist is how the individuals are rational human beings who are understanding and take decisions by influencing each other all the time, and they are always changing norms and values, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any particular questions about what I have said before going to the next slide? Don't be shy to ask. Ask, please. Really, your questions are pleasing me. Whether, just ask. Don't be shy at all.
What is an argot?
Where did I talk about argot?
No, you went into the next slide. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any question about this slide before going to the next slide? Okay. I don't see any hands. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Subculture. A subculture, we talked about subcultures at the very first class, and we said something very, very obvious to everybody. Every society is composed of social groups, right? Right? Every society is composed of the social groups. So in your societies, you have general traditions of the society, but also you can have every family has its own traditions, right? Those family traditions are not conflicting with the wider social traditions, but they they are a bit significant, right?
Yes, Professor.
Right? Okay. So that means, and your family is a social group. Every organization also has its own subculture that is part of the wider culture, right?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. And I just hold on 1 minute. I will come back to you. Just 1 minute, please. I'm sorry. Hello.
Yes, Professor.
Hello.
Okay. So we have the culture, the wider culture, and we have within the culture many circles which are intersecting with each other. Each one of you is a member of many subcultures at the same time. You are a member of the subculture of your own family. You belong to the subculture of your peer group. You belong to the subculture of your neighborhood. You belong to the subculture of your organization if you are an employee. Okay. You belong to the subculture of people of your same age group in the society. You belong to the subculture of your profession, if you are a doctor or engineer or an accountant or whatever. Okay, so if a group of people follows a pattern of life, a way of thinking that is not opposite to what is happening in the society, not opposite to the culture of the society, but it is just a bit distinctive, a little different, okay, but they are all accepted, okay, that is called a subculture. A subculture, okay, like the tree. You have the tree and you have the sub tree, the branches that are branching from the tree. They might look a little different, they might be thinner, they might be thicker, right? But they don't contradict with the main body of the tree, okay? So that's why every social group has a distinctive way of life or way of thinking, but within the wider culture, right? What if this social group adopts a way of life that is opposite of the culture, that is against the culture, that is rejected by the culture? It is still a subculture, but not a normal kind of subculture. It is called what? Counter culture. Counter culture. What is counter? Counter means opposite. But they are still in the society. They are people who live in the society. Okay? And they might be related to us. However, if they are adopting a way of life and way of thinking that is rejected by the wider society, okay, they will be considered by the wider society, they will be considered a counterculture. And if we return to social control, so the wider society will try to socially control those people in order to make them abide by the culture of the society and stop adopting this counterculture. Okay? You get it? And what is the title of this slide? Cultural variation. Okay? How inside the same culture we might find different ways of thinking, we can find different ideas, we can find different people doing different things. Okay? Not because they belong to the same culture, they will be all similar. They will all dress in the same way, they will all think in the same way. No. Yes, they have things in common because they belong into the same society, but also they have variations among them. They live in different neighborhoods, they have different economic interests, they belong to different families, right? They belong to different professions, okay? They can use different slangs and different dialects, okay? Alan asked a while ago about argot, that for example that now we all belong to the same university, and we have special words that people from outside of the university might not understand, right? When we talk about the midterm or the proposal or the final presentation, when we talk about the Moodle, when we talk about the section, when we talk about the GPA, those terminologies people who belong to the university understand, but people from the ordinary people in the society that some of them might not have gone to university at all, those words might not be very familiar to them. Even it was familiar one day, maybe they are not familiar now. Okay? You get it?
Yes, Professor.
Any question? Any question? Okay. So the subculture may be based on common age. I think Navjot will read to us this slide. Navjot. Please, Navjot.
Can I read this?
Yes, Navjot, please read this slide for us.
Okay. A subculture is a segment of society that shares a distinctive pattern of modes, walkways, and values that differ from the patterns of the larger society. The existence of many subcultures is a characteristic of complex societies such as United States. Members
Mhm.
of subculture participate in the dominant culture, while at the same time engaging in their unique and distinctive forms of behavior.
Okay.
Frequently, a subculture will develop an argot or specialized language which distinguish it from the wider society.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Do you have any question about that?
I want to know about the argot.
Yes, the argot is a specialized words or language that people who belong to a particular profession or organization or place use with each other that they might not share with the rest of the society. Okay, if you go to a
Okay.
hospital, for example, and you hear the nurses talking to each other, even if the nurses are speaking your same language and belong to the same culture, but they might use words with each other that you might not understand, but they understand.
Okay.
Okay, you
Okay.
get
Thank
it?
you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Vinka. Vinka, how are you doing? Vinka?
Yes, Professor, I'm going.
Hi, Vinka, how are you doing?
Good.
Okay. Can you give us from your social observation? Anthropology, the most important tool for anthropologists is what is participant observation. That they are themselves interacting with the society and participate in the social activities, and they keep on observing how people are behaving in order to collect information. So you are part of the society and you already observe the society. From your own observations, give us examples of different ways of living and ways of thinking within the same society.
Different ways of living and thinking in
Yes.
the same society.
Okay. To which, where are you living now?
So I am living in Surrey,
Okay, great. And in Surrey, most people belong to which culture?
India.
Okay, great. And although they all belong to the Indian culture,
Yeah,
okay,
although they all
do
belong to
they
the Indian
belong to a
culture,
part?
but
They
they have different mindsets and most of them think in a really different manner. Like the
okay.
ones who've been here in Canada since 2 or 3 years, they have a different mindsets, and the ones who have recently migrated here, they have a mindset. They think in a more like the ones who are living here since long, they are more open and
Mhm.
they have a wider vision.
Okay. So you say now that the ones who immigrated to Canada a long time ago, they have a subculture,
Yes,
okay,
because they
that they
have
share with each
adopted the
other,
things really
and
nice.
the ones who have arrived recently to Canada, they have a subculture, right?
Yes, because
They all belong to the same cultural background. However, it is through your own observations, you were able to group them into 2 groups or 3 groups or 4 groups, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. And also, you might notice that every group of people who came from the same region in India might share with each other more things than they share with another group who came from a different region, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, great, great. And you can also notice that the ones who are working now in Canada in the same profession, they might share with each other uh, common ideas more than the ideas that they share with other people working in a different profession.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, this is subculture. Okay, that's what we call by subcultures, and that's what we call by cultural variations. Okay,
Yes.
you get it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, I want now Sagandeep. Sagandeep, can you read this slide, please? Sagandeep. Sagandeep, are you with us? Sagandeep. Not
Professor,
Sagandeep. I'm calling Sagandeep.
I also got
Sagandeep.
confused.
Okay, Sagandeep, where are you? Okay, it says here that you are on hold. Okay, Sahel Deep. Sahel
Professor,
Deep, can you read this slide, please?
it's the 16 number of slide because Navjot has already read the 15 number. Is it right?
Again, please. Sorry, I'm sorry. What are you saying?
Do I have to read the 16 number slide, Professor?
I'm not talking about your own slides that you have at home. I'm talking about this slide number 17 in front of you now in the screen.
Okay.
When a subculture.
Okay, I will go ahead for it. When a subculture conspicuously and deliberately opposes certain aspects of the larger culture, it is known as a countercultures. It typically thrive among the
Okay,
young.
just wait here a second. So, in your own words, when we call a subculture a counterculture, in your own words, you don't have to follow the same words that you have read now. Okay? But I explained it just minutes ago. What is a counterculture? In which cases we can call a subculture, in which cases the subculture will be considered a counterculture.
Professor, if I talk about the counterculture, then if I meet someone else from the different nation or different culture that is really different from my culture, then
Yes, but
I
this is a different culture, not a counterculture. A counterculture means people who are already part of the same society and who are expected to follow the culture of the society. However, they choose to follow a way of life that is opposing the culture of the society.
for
Okay?
example,
We are not talking about people from a different country or people from a different society, but we are talking about a social group that lives with us in the same society. They belong to the same society, but they choose to follow a particular way of life that is opposing what we consider to be right, what we consider to be correct, what we consider to be normal.
okay, Professor.
Okay, who can give me an example of a counter culture? And by the way, those kinds of behavior that are considered to be counter, over time, the wider society might be used to that, and they stop considering that counter. Okay, so it depends, the word counter depends on to which extent this behavior is rejected, to which extent this behavior is refused. Okay, so it happens that sometimes some societies are refusing particular kind of behavior, but over time they get used to that, right? Who can give me example of some kinds of behavior that are considered to be counterculture in a particular society? I would like to
Yes,
see hands
Professor.
up. I see now how many hands I have. Carlos. Okay, Carlos, please.
So I searched in internet and I found that hip tourism is a type of counterculture because it's something that it look established from the 20, from 2000 to today.
Hmm? Okay, but I prefer, Carlos, that you give us an example of your own, from your own observation. Okay, which kind of behavior in your own society might be adopted by some people but refused by the majority of the society?
I don't know. Maybe
Just
uh,
any example of some kind, that some kind of behavior that is adopted by or practiced by a particular group, okay, and at the
it
same time this behavior is rejected, is refused by the majority of people in the society.
it can be the manifestation of the women, like that movement. It was only maybe of women here in Mexico, and they were a lot of march of women in the street. I don't know if that's in an example.
Okay, and this is adopted by a small group but rejected, adopted by a small group and at the same time rejected by the majority of the society.
Yes, because a lot of people wasn't like agree with that movement, and other do.
Okay, okay, can Alan comment on that? Thank you very much, Carlos. Can Alan comment on that?
Yes, in Mexico there was a big movement, but it was a movement against the government because of security for women.
Yeah.
And at the same time that the women went out to the streets, they were not backed up by the president. So it was a big deal.
Okay. Okay.
On that particular thing that Carlos just talked about. But I have a very simple example of a counterculture. For example,
Okay.
people that don't eat meat.
Okay.
For a long time, there was a lot of people that the normal culture would be, for example, in the United States, would be not to be vegetarians, to be meat eaters.
Okay.
And suddenly a big group of people became vegetarian and they started opposing people that would eat meat.
Okay.
At the beginning, they were a counterculture to the status quo. And with time, they became a subculture.
Excellent, very good. So when they were rejected, when they were refused, they were considered a counterculture. And when the society got used to that, they became considered just a subculture. Okay,
Exactly.
okay, very good. I had another hand up by why somebody was raising up. Yes, Prithvipal. Prithvipal, you have an example about that.
Yes, Professor. Like a counterculture, it's about the Western clothing. In India, majority of the people don't like to wear Western clothes, but the teenagers are mostly like to wear them.
Okay.
But the older one people don't like them. They just insisting to wear traditional clothes. So
Okay.
that's kind of a counterculture.
So the older people consider the Western clothes to be counterculture.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, very good. And where they are considered to be more counter, in villages or in cities?
In villages, as I belongs to a village, so majority of the people like to wear traditional clothes, and whenever I tried something new, like something Western, they just judge me and try to push me hard, like don't wear this type of clothes.
Okay, excellent example. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. But over time, the reading that you have prepared, social change, over time, social change might take place, and the old people might start accepting what they were refusing in the past.
Yes, Professor. I think it's gonna be take 1 to 2 generations after that.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Very good. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's go to the next slide. And I'm just afraid that I'm explaining things very slowly because I want to make sure that everybody understands what that is going. I'm afraid that that might take all of the lesson, and you will not have too much time to explain the two readings. But if that happened, we'll find a way to deal with this problem, and we will not have the quiz at the beginning of the next lecture, but we will dedicate the first half of the time to your own explanations, and then we'll go into the quiz. Okay? Okay, and you can tell me whether you want me to go faster in explanation or I maintain the same speed that I'm doing. So what is more comfortable to you? You know, the result is the most important thing for me. The most important thing for me that my students will understand everything clearly. Okay, so but you tell me whether a faster speed will be okay with you, or this speed is fine.
This speech is fine for me.
Okay, okay. Anybody else has any different opinion? Okay, thank you. So anyone who feels disoriented, out of place, even fearful when immersed in an unfamiliar culture may be experiencing culture shock. You know, when those of you who live in Canada now, when you first came to Canada, you have seen some kinds of behavior that you didn't expect, or maybe you have expected, but you have never seen, and uh, and you found that the society accepts that here normally, while in your own original society, that could never be accepted or tolerated at all, right? So you got astonished. This is called culture shock. Okay, so culture shock is when you not is when you see behavior that people are that people are doing, and they consider that to be normal, while in your own culture that is not normal at all. Okay, and can never, or can very rarely happen. Okay, you got it? Can Harmanpreet give us an example of a culture shock?
Um, Culture shock.
Yes, some kind of behavior that you have seen in a society and you were new to this society. Okay, and in your cultural background, this behavior is so strange, and it cannot be accepted in your own society at all. uh,
Discrimination. Like
uh, okay, which kind of discrimination?
when unfamiliar people come to West Arts Society and don't able to mm, like don't
Hmm.
able to set up herself or themselves in the society. That's one, and many people make a discrimination with them.
Okay, and you didn't expect that this discrimination is
Yeah.
taking place and people accept this kind of discrimination, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan had another example.
Yes, I think when I've been the last year on Korea, and one
Yeah.
cultural shock that I had was the when I see that they preparing a soup made by duck. So I think mostly when we interact the Western cultures with the Asian cultures, they have different kind of dishes that they are common for them. And when we are aware of what they are made, uh, we are have that cultural shock because we are not ready for these kind of things, and we
Okay.
experimented this kind of shock.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I think Sahel Deep has another example of culture shock.
Yes, Professor. I am as I belong to India. There is a example from my society that the other society of mine country is that in my that the other society in which our aunts, our cousins will marry with each other in simple manner. The cousins can marry with each other, but in my society, it is not appreciable. Um, they don't like it, even though they consider them as brother and sister. But in the other society, they can act as a wife and a husband. That it's a really bad shock for me.
Okay. Yes. Very good examples. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Let's go to. So I will. We have already explained ethnocentrism before, so I'm not going to re-explain it again unless you have a particular question about ethnocentrism and how ethnocentrism is different from cultural relativism. And I think we have discussed both of them in too much detail before, right? So anybody would like to ask any question about any of them, cultural relativism or ethnocentrism? Okay, so Balraj will just read to us the definition of cultural relativism. You see Balraj here, start from line 3 on the screen. Balraj,
Yes, Professor, I'm here.
okay, read to us the definition of cultural relativism, please.
Okay, relativism views people's behavior from the perspective of their own culture. It plays a priority on understanding other cultures rather than dismissing them as strange or exotic. Unlike anthropocentrism, cultural relativism employs the kind of value neutrality in scientific study that Max Weber saw as so important. Example, a story of Chinese immigrants in the NYC.
Okay, very, very good. So thank you very much, Balraj. Arshdeep, Arshdeep, can you read to us, please, the definition of ethnocentrism starting from the second line?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, beginning from the tendency.
Yeah. So the term ecocentrism to refer to the tendency to assume that one's own culture and way of life constitute the norm, or are superior to all others. The ethnocentric person sees his or her own group as a center or defining point of culture, and views all other cultures as deviation from what is normal. Conflict theorist points out that eco anthrocentric centric value value judgments serve the value groups and to deny equal opportunities.
Oh,
Functionalists note that Anthocentrism serves to maintain a sense of solidarity by promoting group pride.
Thank you very, very, very much. And what is very nice about this slide, that the slide connected between ethnocentrism and the comparison between functionalism and the conflict theory that we were talking about a while ago. Okay, so it says that that the conflict theory says that ethnocentrism could be employed by the upper class in by the capitalists, by the owners of the means of production, in order to employ them in convincing the majority of the people in the society in not giving the economic rights to the people who deserve those economic rights. So they say, yes, because they belong to a different ethnicity, because they belong to a different race, so they don't deserve the same equal rights. Okay? So they can employ this ethnocentrism for their own benefit. Okay? While the functionists say that societies use this ethnocentrism in order to maintain a sense of pride. So when when a group of people want to be more connected with each other, they try to, they try to make fun of another group. They try to criticize or to talk in a negative way by another group just to feel that they are more superior, or just to feel that they are better. Okay? You get it? Let's now go to slide 21, xenocentrism. And this is a new terminology that is a little different from ethnocentrism and cultural relativism, and we didn't discuss before. It is pronounced as xeno. I know it begins with X, but it is pronounced as a Z. So xenocentrism, okay, is the belief that the products, style, or ideas of one society, of one's own society, are inferior to those that originate elsewhere. And we have, you are most of the students here are either from India, China, South America, right? Originally, all of those societies, including my society, I'm originally Egyptian. Okay, all of those societies in Africa, in South America, in China, were once occupied by other countries, right? Okay. During this occupation, there is something that very bad that might happen in the minds of some people, which is what? Looking at the power which occupied us as if they are more superior, and looking to ourselves as if we are inferior. Okay, so it is the opposite of both ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. We admire the others, okay, and we think about ourselves in a negative way, as if we are less intelligent, as if we are less civilized, as if we are less educated, as if we are less whatever. Okay, you get it? So you look at the other people. For example, let's say that the people of Asia and Latin America and Africa will look at the people who belong to the global hegemonic colonial powers which occupy them one day. they will look at them as if they are more superior, and they will look at ourselves or at themselves as if they are inferior. Okay? And this is a very bad feeling. Why it is very bad? Because it can make the person accept unfairness as if unfairness is something normal. It can make the person accept discrimination against himself or herself as if that is something normal. Okay? You get it? Any questions about xenocentrism? Any questions about xenocentrism?
No, Professor.
Did you understand the
So
terminology?
it is like the feeling of a new society, or um,
Yes.
can you speak it brief again, please?
Okay. Okay. Now, Carlos is asking, right? Carlos?
Yes.
Okay. Carlos, you are from Brazil, right?
No, I'm from Mexico.
You are from Mexico. I'm sorry, I should have remembered that. You are from Mexico. If Carlos, you are looking at the French culture and the French products as if they are greater than your own culture and greater than your own products, and you admire them, okay, more than you admire your own culture. Okay? This is
Okay.
called xenocentrism. When you feel that your own culture is inferior to some other culture, okay, this is an example of xenocentrism. Okay, this feeling usually happens to whom? Usually happens to the people who were uh, who were defeated one day and were controlled or were dominated or were occupied by other people who belong to a different culture for a long time. You understand me? Okay. So let's say that country X was occupied by country Y for a long time. Okay. They were defeated by country Y, and country Y kept on controlling it for a long time. Okay, so some people may in country X may feel a sense of inferiority, and they will look at Y as if Y is more superior in terms of development, in terms of culture, in terms of development. Okay, so even when country Y leaves country X and goes away, and country X is independent now, but still some people in country X might feel that they are culturally inferior, and the people of country Y are culturally superior. Okay, you get it?
Yes.
There is a very good example of Mexican culture of this.
Okay.
Carlos,
Yes,
you
Alan.
probably remember La Malinche.
Yeah.
It's when the Spaniards conquered Mexico.
Yeah.
There's a story that says that one woman had, with xenocentrism, actually started to promote the Spanish culture as a superior culture and started to talk about her own culture as being inferior. And this woman fell in love with the conqueror, with Hernán Cortés. So she's known as the Malinche.
Okay, very good example. I have another example similar to that. That you know that in North Africa there are countries like Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Okay, did you hear about those countries before? Okay, those countries were occupied by France for a very long time. Okay, but after getting their independence from France, a particular class of people was formed into those countries who kept on looking at the French culture as if it is much more superior. They kept on communicating with each other in French, prefer any French idea more than any local idea. They kept on allowing the French to interfere into their own political and economic decisions. Okay, okay, and there's another group which refused that. So this first group, which looked at which kept on looking at the French as if they are more superior, and look at themselves and their fellow people as if they are inferior, they are suffering from this xenocentrism.
This also be called acculturation, as it says in the readings in cultural change.
Okay, but acculturation is not necessarily xenocentrism. So
Okay.
you mean when you get
It can be
used to
produced by it.
another culture, look,
Okay.
like benefiting from another culture and benefiting from some aspects is another culture is not necessarily xenocentrism. Okay, so for example, if I now get used to the Canadian culture and follow some of its aspects because I find that useful, that is not necessarily xenocentrism. When it becomes xenocentrism, when I look down at my original culture and I look up at the new culture or at the other culture. Okay, so I always feel this sense of inferiority. When I meet somebody from the culture that I admire, and this person doesn't treat me equally, I feel that it is okay to not be treated equally because I feel that I'm of a lesser status than him. Okay? And why this is very dangerous? This is dangerous because it can make the person accept inequality. It can make the person accept discrimination. Discrimination against whom? Discrimination against himself or herself. Okay? Get it? Okay. The last slide is bilingualism. Bilingualism is when more than one language, usually two, used simultaneously in the same culture or in the same social group or in the same society or in the same organization. This is called the bilingual, as Canada is a bilingual country that uses, you find on everything you buy in a supermarket, you find it written in opposite sides in two different languages, the English and the French. Okay, so this is called bilingual. When you are studying in a university that equally or almost equally uses two languages rather than one, that is called bilingualism. Okay, so lingual from the language, bi from that they are two. Okay. So what's the time now? Did I pass the time of the class? Oh, it is 1:54. I have occupied all of the class time. I should have occupied half of this time, and you should have been the speakers in the rest of the time. Okay, so in the next class, I will not talk at all, and you will be the only speakers during the first half of the class, and the second half will do the quiz. Okay.
Okay, Professor.
So please get
Okay,
prepared,
Professor.
get very well prepared to each one of you. This is not a group work. The group work is all of the for the other readings. Okay, but for this reading, I want each one of you, please, to study it and to understand it. Of course, you can still discuss it with each other in groups, but I will expect everyone to be able to talk very well about each of those readings. Okay? Thank you very, very much. And goodbye. And goodbye.
Professor?
Of course, as usual, you are free. Oh, wait, wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't go. Don't go. I have to
Professor, you
take
did
the
not take
attendance
attendance.
first. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you haven't marked
Okay. Let
attendance.
me take attendance first, please. Don't go. I'll just open the attendance. Attendance. Okay. Armanpreet. Armanpreet.
Harmanpreet or ke Armanpreet A for
Armanpreet. Armanpreet. That the ID number ends with 339. Armanpreet Kaur. Armanpreet Kaur. The ID number is 1918339. Absent. Okay. Arshdeep.
Hajar ji. Yes, Professor.
Thank you. Davinderjit. 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 ID 1913061. Davinderjit. Okay. Absent. Kiranvir. Kiranvir.
Hi, Professor.
Hi, Kiranvir. Kirti.
Yes, Professor.
Manjender.
Professor, what's the ID number?
Manjinder Singh. 1919367.
Yes, Professor.
Navjit. Navjit.
Yes, Professor.
Piyush. 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 ID 1911632. Please speak up. Tell me I'm here if you are here. Piyush. Okay, absent. Prithvipal.
Yes, Professor.
Prithvipal. Okay, thank you. Sahil Deep.
Yes, Professor, I'm here.
Thank you. Shabnam. Shabnam. ID 1915912. Shabnam. Shabnam. Absent. Shabhinit. Shabhinit Kaur. ID 1919706. Shabhinit Kaur.
Professor, I'm here. By the way, my name is Shubneet Kaur.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. By
It's
the way,
okay.
your name is a very easy name, but I didn't know how to pronounce it correctly. My apologies.
It's okay, Professor. It's okay.
So Shubneet Kaur.
Yes, Shubneet Kaur.
So the H is silent.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's have a like whole vocal of H in my name. It's maybe Shubneet Kaur.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So it is half silent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yajan. 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 Yajan absent? Yajan. Okay. Narinderjit.
Yes, Professor.
You.
Yeah.
Sagandip. Sagandip Kaur.
Present,
1915389.
present, Professor.
Thank you. Garlin. Garlin. Garlin.
Professor.
Thank you. Lavjot. Lavjot Kaur.
Present, Professor.
Thank you. Avneet Kaur.
Present, Professor.
Thank you. Principal.
Yeah,
Principal.
I'm here.
Thank you. Ruchika.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Shorbrit.
Professor.
Jenny Brianna. Jenny Brianna.
I'm present. I'm present.
Okay. Did I pronounce the name correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny.